Shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Merkakwadash, the abundance to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth, and much respect to the Akim out there laboring in his work, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect that are scattered across the four corners of the earth. To you I say, Shalom. So as you can see from end time headlines, it says the worst global food crisis in modern history is about to go to an entirely new level. And pretty much, the direction I want to take this lesson, is basically dealing with the concept that Esau is using to draw in the masses of people to accept his agenda, which ultimately is the people accepting his mark as a form of salvation, and the man-made famine that is about to take place across the whole planet is going to be used to draw in the masses of people to accept this chip that they wouldn't normally accept in regular circumstances. So as we should know, Esau, he's not the originator, should I say, of anything, all right, but rather he takes circumstances from the scriptures and he uses those circumstances to his advantage. And primarily with this famine, he's going to use the situation dealing with our forefather Joseph, who was sold into captivity by his brothers because he was a favorite son of Jacob or Israel. And during that famine, or during that time in captivity, he ultimately interpreted a dream that Pharaoh had concerning 7 years of prosperity, dealing with the crops and all of that. But after that, 7 years of famine that would take place. And in that 7 years of prosperity, he was given charge over Egypt under Pharaoh, and they gathered food into the storehouses to prepare for those 7 years of famine. All right. So let's go to Genesis 41 real quick. And we'll start at verse 28. So it says, NLT, this will happen just as I have described it. For Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai has revealed to Pharaoh in advance what he is about to do, because he had a dream and he couldn't understand what was going on. And again, Joseph was sent forth to interpret a dream. So it says the next 7 years will be a period of great prosperity throughout the land of Egypt. But afterward, there will be 7 years of famine so great that all the prosperity will be forgotten in Egypt. Famine will destroy the land. This famine will be so severe that even the memory of the good years will be erased. All right. So keep in mind, Esau, who reads these scriptures, is taking notes on how this pretty much affected the people. All right. So when you go to the 47th chapter, and we'll start at verse 13. All right. NLT says Joseph's leadership in the famine. So it says, meanwhile, the famine became so severe that all the food was used up and people were starving throughout the lands of Egypt and Canaan. So by selling grain to the people, because they had this stockpile for 7 years, right? So by selling grain to the people, Joseph eventually collected all the money in Egypt and Canaan, and he put the money in Pharaoh's treasury. When the people of Egypt and Canaan ran out of money, all the Egyptians came to Joseph. Our money is gone, they cried. So you can see where this is headed. The people in dire situations, they're in dire straits, no food, the famine's kicking in, and they're coming to who? Joseph, who has these goods stored up, for relief. So let's continue reading. It says, our money is gone, they cried, but please give us food, or we will die before your very eyes. Joseph replied, since your money is gone, bring me your livestock. I will give you food in exchange for your livestock. So they brought their livestock to Joseph in exchange for food, in exchange for their horses, flocks of sheep, and goats, herds of cattle, and donkeys. Joseph provided them with food for another year. So they started bringing all their possessions, things of value to obtain some form of food. So verse 18 says, but that year ended, and the next year they came again and said, we cannot hide the truth from you, my Lord. Our money is gone, and all our livestock and cattle are yours. We have nothing left to give but our bodies and our land. So the famine was so bad that they lost all their possessions, seeking to obtain some kind of food. And eventually they had nothing, to where they said that we would give up our bodies and our land just to eat. Let's continue reading. So it says, why should we die before your very eyes? Buy us and our land in exchange for food. So they were selling themselves, man. You see the concept here? So Esau is doing this very same thing with this global man-made famine, in which the people are going to be put into such a bad situation that they'll be willing to give up their own body just to take a piece of food, just to receive a piece of food, man. All right, that's how powerful a famine is, to where you'll give up your own life, your body, just to eat. So let's read this again. It says, why should we die before your eyes? So buy us and our land in exchange for food. We offer our land and ourselves as slaves for Pharaoh. See that? And that's exactly what you're going to do if you take this man's mark for a piece of bread. You're pretty much saying that, hey, Pharaoh, Esau, I'm going to serve you, and I'm willing to become a slave just so I can eat. I can't take the famine no more. So just do with me as you will, but let me eat, man. That's what these people who have no protection from Yahweh Shah are going to do in that day. All right, many people are going to flock to Esau and take his chip because of the harshness of the famine. So it said, just give us grain so we may live and not die, and so the land does not become empty and desolate. So Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. All the Egyptians sold him their fields because the famine was so severe. And soon all the land belonged to Pharaoh. And of course, the WF got this, concept or slogan that they say, you should own nothing, but you'll be happy. Because they're creating debt slaves right now, to where, you're going to have to give up your possessions and everything, and including yourself, man, until the modern day Pharaoh, Esau. It says, again, all the Egyptians sold, Slakia, verse 20. So Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. All the Egyptians sold him their fields because the famine was so severe, and soon all the land belonged to Pharaoh. So as for the people, he made them all slaves from one end of Egypt to the other. You see that? So that's what this man Esau is trying to do. He's creating a situation to where the people are going to flock to him, just like with Joseph, to receive a piece of bread. Okay? And it's going to get down to the point of where they're going to be willing to give up their own body and take this mark just so they can eat, which is ultimately going to be a snare, as we know, to their damnation. So the famine this time is going to be even more severe than in times past. This is the finale. So Revelation 13:16, and he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. And how is he going to cause all of those people, to receive what? This mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Well, he's going to do that by the way of the man-made famine, with other means as well that are going to contribute to the hard times in which this chip is going to be presented as a form of salvation. All the chaos that Esau is bringing ultimately leads into them offering you this chip for salvation. as they have all the resources stocked up, so when the famine hits, the stores are empty out. Well, of course, the government's going to have what you need, only if you bow down your life unto me. So it continues to say, 17, that no man might buy or sell, save either had the mark. So yeah, you want some food, you want to buy some food? Well, hey, you got to take this mark. You got to worship me, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. See that? And we always go into this word mark right here. Strong G5480, Charagma, right? A stamp and printed mark, it says, of the mark stamp on the forehead or the right hand as a badge of the followers of Esau, basically. The mark branded upon the horses, thing called sculpture, graven work, adulterous images, okay? So yeah, Strong's definition, it says, a scratch or etching, i.e. stamp, there it is, stamp as a badge of servitude. See that? Or a sculptured figure, graven mark. So a badge of servitude. You're going to say that Esau is your master once you bow down in the famine and take his chip because of the circumstances. But as the scriptures say in Revelation, I think it's 11, not Revelation, but on Romans. Let's see. All right, 11:4. It says, but what saith the answer of the Most High to him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who will not bow the knee to the image of Baal. All right, 7,000 is just a complete number of men. So it says, even so then, at this present time, also there's a remnant according to the election of grace. So the remnant, the elect, are not going to bow down to Esau by taking what? His mark, due to them having faith in Yahweh Bashmal Shah, which leads me to the book of Isaiah 65, and we start at verse 13. It says, therefore thus said the Lord Yahweh Bashmal Shah, behold, my servants shall eat. All right, the ones who are serving who? Yahweh Bashmal Shah, they're going to eat in that day. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. All right, going to the ones who denied our Lord Yahweh Shah, where the Lord's going to leave you out there in the elements of famine, to where you're going to be seeking for salvation through Esau. You're going to take his mark, and that's going to be ultimately your damnation. When Yahweh Shah pops up on the scene to deliver the elect, where he's going to leave you down here, and when the missiles hit, all right, you're going to be tormented in the fire of brimstone while we watch in the chariots. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit, man. There's going to be no heads there, because what? You ultimately denied this word. So now you're going to be left in torments. But for the ones who did hearken, the scripture said that we're going to dwell safely and shall be quiet from fear of evil, meaning what we're going to eat, as we just read in that time, Proverbs 1:32, for an eternal way of the simple shall slay them. So for the simple, 2/3 who turn away from this truth, all right, is going to lead to you being slayed. And the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. So to be too rich, or to pretty much deem something, whatever it is, according to his life, as more valuable than the truth, then that's going to lead to what? Your damnation also. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. Right? So in the time of evil, all right, we're going to be protected. We're going to be covered, man. You see? There's one more precept, and then we'll close it out. Psalm 37, I believe 19. It says, they shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. You see that? In the days of famine, we're going to be satisfied. Just like Joseph, 5 brothers and his father, Israel, who joined him in Egypt, they were fed freely. They didn't suffer from the famine, man. They were straight. And I do think that represents the elect, all right, who are going to eat in the time of that great famine. So Just want to go through that real quick, so Lord willing, you're edified till next time I say